All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is E.R. Anderson. I'm the executive director of Charis Circle. Charis Circle is the nonprofit programming arm of Charis Books, and Charis Books is the South's oldest independent feminist bookstore. We have been around since 1974. We were founded in the Little Five Points neighborhood of Atlanta, and we moved over here to Agnes Scott College in 2019. We love poetry and celebrate poetry year round. But it is National Poetry Month, and so we think it's especially important to celebrate poetry in a time when art and poetry is devalued. Um, we think poetry is uniquely able to speak truth to power. And though not all of the poems you'll hear tonight are necessarily inherently political, we think that taking the time to honor beauty and pay attention to the world is its own act of rebellion. And so we are grateful to all of the poets who are joining us here tonight. I'm going to introduce each of them briefly with the titles of their books, and then I'll call them up one by one for their readings. So we're getting what is called an olio, which is a beautiful showcase of 4 different people. It's like a tasting platter. We're going to have many readings from these 4 beautiful poets, some of whom have traveled quite far to be with us tonight, and some are from just down the street. So Kelsey L. Smoot, who uses they, he pronouns, or just Kelz, is a gender theorist, an elective Southerner, a writer, and a poet. Their autoethnographic style has become the lens through which they understand and reflect on their experience navigating the U.S. sociopolitical landscape. They are the winner of the 2021 Sad Girls Club Spring Literary Contest, the 2023 The Good Life Review Honeybee Prize, and the grand prize winner of the 2024 Button PoetryVideo Contest. He is a Pushcart Prize nominee, a Best of the Net nominee, and proudly the author of 2 chapbooks, We Was Boys Together with Clash, which is an imprint of Mouthfeel Press, and Muse with Another New Calligraphy. So please put your hands together for Kelsey L. Smoot.
Thank you so much. Are y'all comfortable with me lowering my mask to read? So, um, I am so excited this week. This last 2 weeks has been like the most important 2 weeks of my life. I had my birthday last week. I became a doctor last week, and now this week I'm getting to be with y'all. So I'm just super pumped. We Was Boys Together is actually chapter 3 of my dissertation. My dissertation is written about Black queer masculinity and identity formation. So um, this is kind of like the creative extension of that project. It's also like a series of love letters written mostly to the folks that I grew up with, specifically one person I grew up with, my sibling Max. And a lot of my work in this book and in my dissertation is kind of speaking to these internal grapplings I've always had with masculinity and the ways in which I felt like it was putting up walls between myself and the people that I loved the most. So I wrote this poem. It's called Max Puts Their Arm Around Me in the Uber Ride Home. And yeah, this is just about that. It's about my sibling and our love and um, a change I feel like that I consciously decided to make in my life. So Max puts their arm around me in the Uber ride home. And somehow we are boys again. But this time I allow myself to love them with my skin off. Their shoulder is a marinage, and I resile all the mannish hauntings that had us caught up, got us fucked up, kept us locked up and lost to one another. We sat this close a million times before, but still, I feel nervous to lean into them as we whir over Charleston streets under sleepy moss trees, and I am keenly aware of their breath just above my temple. Max is 30 and drunk this night, and I realize we've spent half our lives like lathes, cutting and turning and shaping one another, and two like mirrors, how they are not me, I'm still not sure. Max pulls me closer until we are blood brothers. I feel a warming joy grow in my gut, knowing we are both done with the banal bravado of boyhood. I close my eyes and recall every tender moment between us that wanted to be this one. I know that I will know them for every moment henceforth, but I still grieve the ones in which I couldn't be brave because I was busy being a boy. It's almost like they hear my remorse out loud because Max leans in closer and says, "You are so beautiful," in a voice I've never heard from them before. In an instant, we are boys, we are grown, we are gray, and we are gone. A whole lifetime passes. I promise myself I will come up with something just as loving to say back to them someday soon. I promise I will be their better, brighter reflection. But this night, I keep my eyes shut, fall gently onto Max, into sleep, and dream about mirrors. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna do some poems I don't normally do. I'm gonna give y'all some choices though. Would you rather hear a poem about a bad day that I had, or a poem about tea?
Bad day.
Okay, well, you're getting both, but the bad day will come first. This is called Rhapsody of the Unraveled. It's autumn and you step outside, fearful that the absence of sweater weather is like the death knell of your 21st birthday. The cause celeb of the wonder year. Actually, I'm gonna stop. Y'all are very quiet. Okay, so I'm gonna need just like some resonance, some snaps, some vibes, so I know that you're here. Appreciate you. Thank you, Obeo. Okay, all right, let's start this again. Let's try this again. This is called Rhapsody of the Unraveled. It's autumn and you step outside, fearful that the absence of sweater weather is like the death knell of your 21st birthday, the cause celeb of the wonder years, jaunty and salacious.
Yes.
Correct. And then everything subsequent, morning after included, is a forked road, a dull throb in your temples, the feeling that you are missing some critical information for putting it all together. You are just belly turns and unrelenting yearning, so much younger than you'd ever thought you'd be, feeling this old. You are a bacon, egg, and cheese here for a good time, not a long one, stumbling through your 30s like you were shoved on stage after taking a wrong turn while searching for the bathroom. But you're such a goddamn ham that you tell yourself the show must go on and begin dancing until you are soaked and heaving, trying to decide if the two people in the back row manically applauding are doing so out of pity or if they're just as unhinged as you've demonstrated yourself to be. So you step outside and you try not to panic about the November warmth. You are dimly aware of your jeans hanging lower, how you look Ozempic slimmed, except it was depression that ate you hollow. You are just now remembering how to smile at strangers 3 steps too early, and you look like AI taught you how to be a person. 1 step too late, and you've already lost their affections. They'll be giving you a wide berth, stepping onto the grass and avoiding your eyes. So you decide not to chance it, keeping your face impassive as you miss brushing shoulders with your sidewalk contemporary by a quarter of an inch. Suddenly, you are so full of regret. You swipe your debit card at the coffee shop, and when it gets declined, the young white barista nudges the flat white towards you with a wink, and you clasp it too tightly, spilling it down your front. You are truly vexed that a college kid working at a coffee shop has made you into their good deed, that somehow they've chanced their way into abundance by mere virtue of existing. You turn to leave, feeling eyes on you as you stuff too many extra napkins into your pockets, knowing the day will be terrible. It's already terrible. But when you step outside again, the warmth on your skin feels like velvet and you are not aching. And no one is angry with you like you dreamt the night before. You catch a glimpse of yourself in a reflective storefront, and someone criminally beautiful is there, standing in your place. A car screeches by, taking the corner too sharply, nearly clipping you, some brassy pop song spilling out of the windows, and in spite of yourself, your hips begin to sway just a little bit. Now you are awash with something akin to hunger, but it's comely and tinged with a gentle excitement. You take the stairs back up to your apartment in twos, realizing just as you turn the knob that it's hope you are feeling. In this moment, you are so completely aware of your wiring, how you are a labyrinth of blood pumping itself into this life. And the earth is still becoming a smaller, hotter place, but you can't bring yourself to turn cold. You are kindling, you are a spark. Thank you. Okay, so this is one of my favorite poems that I ever wrote. I wrote it last summer when I was really excited about getting a new driver's license. And um, yeah, it's a poem that makes me a little sad now because of um, its nature, because of the fact that it feels very politically prescient. But this is called Tender Heart. Legally, I'm a man now. According to the Georgia Department of Driving Services, it feels surreal. 3 decades later, and my paperwork no longer lying on me. I think I'm supposed to feel like the truth now. I think my driver's license is a transgender death certificate. This made complicated by the fact that I refused to eulogize the black girl disappeared by my surgeon so good it's almost like she was never here. This is not a death. Me and that imaginary girl are just on the run together, hiding under sunglasses and two large hoodies and trying not to turn our heads when someone calls us by our old names. It's funny how the world only searches for missing black girls after they've confessed that they never really were girls, just black and missing, perfect in their unwillingness to be what the world said, what a nigga said, and what I said yesterday, because I reserve the right to change my mind, change my hair and pop my shit, rewrite my name over and over and over with different letters until it starts looking right, make you memorize every new spelling, and then forget them all if I say so. And yeah, today I am a man. Yesterday, a black girl. And while I'm asleep, I'm nothing but a pyre of almosts and never agains. The sparks between my synapses threaten to catch a blaze and engulf every version of the person I performed today. The first time I swim in a lake after top surgery, chest bare to the wild, just like 20 years prior, I register that I am topless and tasty and terrified. I am torn open and suddenly so much taller. I get a mosquito bite just above my nipple. And for some reason, this feels like a gift to me. Afterwards, my sister's friend and I laugh about the blood tax for wanting to go shirtless in public. I tell her how scary it was and how absolutely thrilling. I wonder if I'll ever be able to strip myself without a moment's hesitation, just toss my shirt to the ground and run for water. She says, yeah, isn't it funny how they make it all about the body? Being in the wrong body, needing to change your body, like I'm sure you always thought it was your chest that was holding you back. And now you realize it was the shame. Thank you. Okay. I'm gonna do two more. So this next one is the one about the tea. It's not actually about tea. Um, it's about love, I think. This is called How Two Depressives Manage Coexistence. We take turns being tethered, one spirited away, the other making tea. We watch one another wilt, wither, crack a chap lipped grin, every now and again, easily mistaken for grimace by someone who has never cried because sunlight poured in. Sometimes we speak in hushed tones, whisper into the other's neck. Sometimes we howl from somewhere deep and hollow, but unabiding. It won't always ache like this. It won't always ache like this. Perch two fingertips lightly just below the jaw and think, oh good, you're still with me. You're still here. Some days we push the furniture against the walls, play Shaka Khan, and shimmy at one another, cook that strange pasta from last winter, ignore the texture, look almost healthy, hold one another, and feel new bones. Some days we shuffle coldly past one another, cut eyes and kiss teeth and speak with venom. It's your fault I'm like this, we think and don't mean. But then the sun retreats and we emerge like night bugs, scurry around one another in small circles, touch hands, mouths, cling to the heat of one another's bodies, forget for just a short while that we are two separate beings fighting the night. We sweat and weep and try to make sense of how fortunate we are to have found one another in all of this unluck. One gathers the other up in their arms. One mumbles something about needing to do the dishes. One drifts slowly into slumber. One stays painfully awake, tasked with surviving the quiet alone again. We do puzzles, we read, we talk about people we knew when we were young. We eat, we don't eat, we journal, we sleep, we sleep, we sleep. We look out the window. We try to remember who we were before this. We kiss each other's temples, and then some days we open the front door, feeling like babies in tuxedos or Martians cosplaying millennials out of our pajamas in real clothes, ready to brave the grocery store. You go ahead, one says, suddenly unsure, as they catch a glimpse of the world for what feels like the first time in years. I think I'll stay here. After a pause, the other steps back from the doorway, turns and offers a solemn nod, reaches out, takes the other's hand, and then, in familiar convivial tone, responds, before I go, would you like some tea? Thank you. Um, okay. This last poem is called, oh, actually, hold on. Okay, I feel torn. Ari, do you feel like I should do The Revolution Might Not Be Televised or the art one? Okay, all right. We'll do The Revolution Might Not Be Televised. But shit, it might be on Signal. You might catch it on vanish mode on the bat phone. All my kinfolk got two names, two phones. All my niggas got two jobs. All my boyfriends got two scars from where their shame was cut free. All my friends are too tired to hang out these days. All my nightmares got fangs on them these days. Don't have to go to the movies to catch a bloodbath. The revolution won't be on TikTok because they finna cancel that shit. Too bad we only got two parties in this country and neither of them are lit. All my aunties say it takes two to tango, but I got two left feet, so I'm hanging up my dancing boots. Last time I fell in love with a real down two Mars girl, I got caught two timing. Them two new tires were expensive as fuck. All my slimes need root canals, need the change that was supposed to come in 2020 when we all took to the streets on risked our lives in an attempt to stop risking our lives. All my day ones don't give a fuck. They'll pull up on you if I text them ski mask, make you two step with a two piece. All my poems are about Palestine now. Even if I don't say it outright, my anger, my heartbreak, the gall of this fucked up place to keep changing the rules, keep making little angels and then turning them into ancestors before their sweet 16s. All my shorties got 2+ baby daddies because we pro ho on this side. And even if the revolution won't be televised, it might be live stream once they drink a little too much tequila and start talking that talk for real. All my babies will be free someday. I know it. Well, maybe not my babies, but my babies' babies. If the world even lasts that long, if we even have enough drinkable water and the polar bears aren't gone, all my people are going with me. Don't really know where we're gonna go or how we're gonna know if we've made it. We're just gonna go on some parable of the sower type shit and shit. maybe we won't make it. Maybe we'll all just die as some revolutionaries. Thank you. If you're on socials and you want to keep up with me, you can follow me at nonbinarypoppy. And if you want to go to my website, it's queerinsomniac.me. Thank you. Sorry.
My bad. Thank you so much, Kelz. Your work is always so beautiful and transformative. I'm really glad that you're here. Our next poet is Ken Anderson. Ken is the author of many, many books, but we are celebrating, he's going to be reading from two tonight. Island of Wak Wak Press from Örebro, Sweden, just released Ken's book, The Ward at Twilight, Goth Poems, and has submitted it to the Bram Stoker Awards. Red Ogre Review Books in LA recently released his The Goose Liver Anthology, which is Mother Goose meets the Spoon River Anthology. His first poetry book was The Intense Lover. Coffin Bell Journal nominated his poem Blood Quartet for the 2024 Best of the Net Anthology. He was a finalist in the 2021 Saints and Sinners Poetry Contest, and his poetry manuscript, A Sweet Oblivious Antidote, was a semifinalist for the 2024 Washington Prize. Please put your hands together for Ken Anderson.
I'm going to set my timer. If I can start. First, I want to thank ER and Charis for inviting me. I'm very appreciative. And I want to introduce two books to you. The Goose Liver Anthology, and the subtitle is Mother Goose Meets Eggerly Masters Spoon River Anthology. And what happened was, when I was reading Mother Goose, I noticed that every once in a while you get really dark, macabre, weird stuff that's totally inappropriate for children. So I took those, and the characters associated with the lines, I wrote them really dark backstories. In a Spoon River Anthology, basically you have ghosts speaking from a cemetery in Illinois in 1915. And in Goose Liver, they're mostly ghosts, but some are alive, and also cats and horses also have monologues too. So I think I've covered everything. Well, I want to throw in one thing about The Ward at Twilight. A review of it said that it had raw authenticity. So whether you're ready for it or not, you're about to get some raw authenticity. Yeah. All right. For example, in Mother Goose, there's a little ditty about Jerry Hall. Jerry Hall, he was so small, a rat could eat him, hat and all. So here's my version of Jerry Hall on page 24. Let's see. Hob is a troublesome elf. Elsevier, there used to be a Dutch publisher, and one of the things they did was really tiny books. And a little person, you know what I mean by that, I think. And Jack is Jack of Jack and Jill fame. And Minikins are just small creatures. I'm afraid this whole thing's going to turn over. Okay, Jerry Hall. When I was a little boy, I was a very little boy. In fact, an elf. And mother called me Hob. When I was a devil, she set me on a shelf with a jar of dill. When I was an angel, she fed me cake with a spot of breakfast tea. She treasured me as only a mother could, a delicate Elsevier edition of her great expectations. Sent to draw a quart of beer, I started down the cellar steps toward what the rodents guarded, trusting I'd run their gauntlet of teeth. I said, the barrel's dry, just as I lied when I told myself that marriage would swathe the stinging cut of my youth. I thought a little person wouldn't balk at the playhouse of reduced circumstances, the playful game called man and wife. She bought me children's wear, a pair of jumpers, small. She liked to dress me up and strip me like a doll, but soon she threw me into her cash box, up to my chin, yes, up to my chin on the rim, and ordered me to jingle her coins, or she'd feed my arms and legs, she swore, like sticks of cheese, to rats. Mother rests in a muddy grave. My wife ran off with Jack, and quietly in the hush at dawn, all dolled up, yes, hat and all, like the doll I was, I stepped down steps, steep step by step, to the dark, infested cellar. There was no easy street in this country town for the Minikins who were shy as sheep and the ones who were somehow odd. Okay, now we shift to the Ward at Twilight goth poems. Now remember, they're goth poems. And I think my favorite one in the whole book is called The Skeleton Company. And the concept here is death as a business. And Camorra is the Naples mafia. Black Pearl is heroin, and reps are representatives. So the Skeleton Company. The carpet beetle cleans us to the bone, ticking away like a small watch. In its cage, the heart sang like a canary. Now it's a dried up rose, where bellows blue words hot, a solemn silence. I have met the members, all whose names do not appear in the letterhead. The metal-spangled Nazi, the Camorra gunman, the Black Pearl pusher, the flunkies too, those slight deaths, the train's departure, the priest's thigh, all those other little debts add up. And reps have shown me how. The chair, the rope, the bomb, yes, all the steps that led down to a cellar of jaws. But thin one, where's the boss? The one who grows these stones. And when is my appointment? No, you don't need to. Okay, my second favorite is Vampire Valentine. And this is, I think about emotionally S&M couples, or couples in which one is draining the other one. And so the metaphor I picked was vampirism. Okay, Vampire Valentine. Not, darling, I adore you, but, dear unit of blood, type A, thanks for the pint. I'd appreciate a quart by the full moon. I doing what I have to do. Suck. You doing what you do best. Bleed. So drip, 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 my grape. Another drop. Ah, but not too much. Let me perform the phlebotomy. Let me draw off the red wine in your cask. Look deep into my eyes. Sleep. No crucifix or garlic saves you now. Sweetheart, I love you this way, with venipuncture. It'll only hurt when I insert the fangs. All right. The next one is called Down. You know, where were we headed anyway? So Down. And it's about depression. This time you're equal to the trip. You packed a wicker basket of reds and a little bottle of blues. You don't need a guide. The floor dips and you're off, but slow. You know how you fall. Think of it as a horror movie, fright in black and white. You just have to see, but can exit when through, though it may replay inside you for a while. Only this is your life, and it's shot on location. You try to snug down in the mood. A walk in fog will do. Now for the marsh near the bombed out city set. Now for the hole. This is the toll station. This the troll who must wrap your heart in a rag. Your fears in 3D lean from the screen. What a thriller, what a chiller. This is art. Wading through the storm drains of the night. Now that we're all the way down, let's go to Mommy's Little Joke. Okay, this is fairly self-explanatory. As I say, based on a true story. Spoiled as the shriveled pear of your womb, I tipped the cut glass vase of your brain, which fell shattering. Oh, who could ever tell a pixie from a natural child? So, to shuffle the cards of my bad behavior, my psychiatrist, to indict and convict me, my stern DA, to quench your bloodlust too, my priest, you played a game called pseudo-suicide. I sauntered into the kitchen, and there you lay, slumped against a cabinet, head to the side and somehow loose as if it might roll off. Your neck gushed red down shoulder, breast. Your soaked pajama collar flopped like the flap of a vicious wound. But the butcher knife dripped Heinz. Okay, you may as well have really slit your throat, Mom. For you murdered the mother I loved. And I've always balked at the fake. You pointed your sticky finger at me, but I cried out my fierce curse and never forgave you, just as you never dropped the charge. Okay, anything now is up, right? Okay, let's go to the mummy. The mummy, you know, you can die emotionally and come back, just as the mummies do in like a Boris Karloff film. So this is called The Mummy. And the god Min, M-I-N, is an Egyptian god of love and fertility. And in hieroglyphics, he's usually pictured as having a great erection. Okay, death and rebirth here. Condemned to the nameless death, I was buried alive. Nubians wrapped me, a wound, in bandages. The soul embalmed not with gum and oil, but despair. The blood's hot passion burnt to ash, veins set like veins in marble. The secret of life interred with me in a gilt coffer, the secret of love. I had stolen it from the god men. Then I lay supine in the real Egypt of grief. No, not even grief. A state numb as hair, hard as a breastplate. My nails were claws, my skin rhinoceros hide. The kingdom of night, a black and soundless void. No constellations glimmered like perch in the dark stream of the sky. Then in a dream, safari hats and khaki shirts, a glittering moonlit dune, a pick-struck stone, the way a glimpse of a lover stuns us to the core, a vision nude wading into the dazzling river, the sheer tunic tossed casually onto the bank. You had cracked the seal of the 7 jackals, recited the spell that calls us back from the dead. You had pried open the dusty artifact of my heart. Gauze breathes, the snail shell of an eyelid cracks, the dull eye clears to a gleam. With a stiff gesture, a hieroglyph, I beckon, touch me. Touch me now. I was not meant for nights alone, for scattered shards or a dusty museum, but you. Okay, now for Student Vampire. Student Vampire was supposed to be about reality versus the imagination, but the imagination took over and the poem went to a place that I didn't expect. And I think the only odd word in it is id, you know, the subconscious psychological component, her drives. Okay, Student Vampire. In a classroom, posture set like cement, mind stamped with consensus. She focuses beyond the window, descending broken steps to an overgrown park, taking odd turns among mossy ruins, guiding the visceral dream through incandescent lilies, ligustrum strummed by bees, the orgasmic caw of a crow. Life spirited off to an uncharted medulla, strange thoughts and mille fleurs afterthoughts. She forgets the hard chair, the calloused index finger, nearsighted eyes constantly placing countless alphabets. At dusk, she hangs upside down, horizon flipped, pendant from an id, gravity pulling her like a pear from the lush tree of the ingenue, she mimes. She drops into the sleek black wings of a coat over shoulders, the skin of a co-ed circling a cypress. Her fingernail can slit your throat. Her mouth can suck the hot blood straight from your heart. Arteries and ventricles drained to a dry bouquet. She is the invocation of a Gothic moon, the last breath before death, the first breath after. Okay, one more. Let's go back to Goose Liver. There's a poem in here, I call them rhymes, not poems. It's called My Three Sons. And in it says, Jerry was hanged, James was drowned, and John was lost and never found. So that was a challenge. Okay, my three sons, page 20. Okay, my life has proven so unprofitable that I, an old woman, have had to forfeit my three sons, and the blow of their loss has left a slow leak in my heart. My first son, James, jumped through a hole in the frozen lake and hid among the reeds till spring. And John, my second, wandered out of sight on a hunting trip. No tracks, not even a broken twig, as if a lad in a landscape painting came to life and stepped from the frame. My third son, Jerry, hatched from a rotten egg, I guess, for now he sags from a string like a ragged doll. Yes, now he hangs from a branch's gibbet, neck stretched by the noose to a goose's neck. A hammer in his pocket, sign, they say, of what he did. Sometimes the breeze will swing my boy the way I used to. Yes, I'm an old woman, shorn of her sons like limbs. All right, the two books are available here at Charis. And thank you.
Thank you. And that's a good plug because everyone's book is available that you hear from tonight. So support your local authors. Oh, that's your timer. You did well. Our next reader is Rosa Castellano. Rosa is originally from Tampa, Florida. She's a poet and teacher now living in Richmond, Virginia. A finalist for Cave Canem's Starshine and Clay Fellowship and co-founder of the RVA Poetry Fest. Her work can be found or is forthcoming from Rhino Poetry, Diode, Passages North, Nimrod, The Ninth Letter, and Poetry Northwest, among others. And her book is here tonight as well. Please give a warm welcome to Rosa Castellano.
Hi. This sounds right? Okay, cool. All the poets so far have been really fantastic. And so I think I just have to say thank you for making this evening possible. But just like for me personally, I'm enjoying it so much. So I'm planning to buy some books when this is over. I'm gonna read. I have a book. It's called All Is the Telling, and it's largely about stories, the ones that we tell ourselves, the ones we carry, the ones we're told. And I think I'm gonna start with the title poem because it kind of suggests what the book is largely about. All is the telling. Do not doubt the brown and bony beginning, the girl I was, in natted terry cloth shorts, too short, hungry, sweating hot and lonely, who prayed a hurricane to launch the loblolly and send them spearing through the walls of our Florida green double-wide trailer. Let me begin again. Once, my dad drank his K-car into a tree. In the yard, I squeezed into the crushed V of the hood, a brown Alice in a ruffled metal wonderland. Following the sun-heated steel to the cracked and shining glass, where I raised my skinny arms in a coffee-colored arch and prayed. I prayed the moss from the tree, the Father from the house. I prayed until the stars that swum inside my 12-year-old body flew out my eyes, white hot as the sun, burning steel, ripping cloth, tearing thigh to scar. It's a mouth, that dusky ridge of skin, a story, curious as the shine of glass on asphalt, or the way wind can suddenly come from nothing. It's kind of cool to have a book to read from. It's like, I don't know, which one of these delightful things should I share next? This collection has a number of poems that are in the voice of a girl, and each is titled something like "A Girl the Color of a Cracked Windshield," or "A Girl the Color of a House on Fire," "A Girl the Color of a Day-Old Bruise." And each one is sort of a version, perhaps, of myself as the speaker in this book. I subscribe to the paper doll theory of personhood, you know, like if you stretch me out, there are all these versions. And a collection gives you a chance to let all those versions speak. So since I'm saying all of that, I'll read "A Girl the Color of a Cracked Windshield Waits with her sisters and brothers in a tub." And I feel like, I don't know if Georgia gets hurricanes the way that Florida gets hurricanes, but if you meet or talk to people from Florida, you guys, you know about sitting in a tub. Like, that's the context, just it's not we're like bathing together. All right. Yes. Arms wrapped around knees, pressed to chest, in a kind of genderless dark, hoping for quiet, for the sound of something soft to say, the hurricane has passed. In the tub, the rise and fall of chest, of breath, of waiting together, knowing that if someone came, turned on the lights, they'd find a jar. Glass with a ship inside, its ebony sails, the dreamed up, longed for, black dark velvet of the sky. So I have a lot of brothers and sisters, and that's sort of useful because sometimes a poem will say, and a brother, and then another brother, and a sister, and another sister, because I have 5 younger brothers and sisters. But now I'm going to read a poem about my dad. This one is called Star Trek, and he was a big Star Trek fan. All right. Back then, my father saw himself as a black Captain Kirk, cruising the cosmos in an afro and tight gold shirt, 18 when he tucked the doo-wop street corners of his neighborhood into his back pocket and traveled where no colored man had gone before. Ringing doorbell after doorbell, he held his breath, waiting for a face to materialize. Then he was captain of a starship, and like the Klingons witnessing Kirk's arrival, those housewives found something alien among their marigolds. Good afternoon was sometimes the only part of his speech said before doors slammed shut. Sometimes they invited him in, those curious ladies wondering why he wasn't over in Vietnam or if he knew Dr. King. In living rooms haunted by the nightly news, he gave monologues on the merits of Britannica while they searched his face for the fire they'd seen on the faces of the sanitation workers from Memphis who marched across their screen. I am a man on the signs they carried. Sometimes they chased him off before he had a chance to speak. In some towns, the air itself seemed to want his blood, and he struggled then to imagine Spock and McCoy flanking him, their phasers ready. That summer, he owned nothing but the sky and what he could imagine. This next poem is for my brother who isn't with us anymore. His name is Jade, and it comes up. It's called Heart-Shaped Scar. You might wonder why, in the middle of my nephew's Winnie the Pooh themed birthday party, I sat in the bathroom with my slice of cake, ruminating about the heart-shaped scar etched into the chest of my oldest brother by his mother with an iron. 18 when he came to live with us, a not-so-secret secret, which is to say the adults knew what us kids did not, and by then, the bubbled edges of his scar had smoothed into a palm-sized bit of magic. Heart-shaped scars are for the broken-hearted, he'd said, and winked. Jade, like his namesake, was soft for stone and beautiful then, as my younger brothers are now, grown into men, and I know it's greedy, missing him, when I have these three brothers breathing and wanting nothing more than for me to stay alive. Sister. In the collection, there are a series of poems that were written in response to a family reunion, which, for those of you who are writers, family reunions are rife with poetic possibility. This is Noon, Family Reunion, the Sands Motel, Treasure Island Beach, Florida. Half asleep at midday, I hoist my daughter into my arms as we abandon the beach for the shade of the hotel pool. Penelope's feet dangle to my knees, and she is almost too big to carry. The splashing children rouse her as we pass under palms, and before we can shower off the sand, she's down, chasing after the chlorine-soaked ball that's rolled under an uncle's chair. He offers it back, and I see her confusion. At these faces, I know that she does not. These great aunts and uncles lounging like shells, cracked or split or empty and baking in the sun. One tells my oldest that the devil is in her hands. Another prepares bowls of ice cream bigger than her head. Above us, papery palms rub together in the breeze. Their brown fronds scratch a soundtrack uneasy as these moments, pressing play on the family histories that weigh us down, keep us trapped, and those, like my child's sun-warmed shoulders, which ask only to be held. I kind of want to do this poem. Oh, okay. Do you guys know Pink Pony Club by Chapel Roan? Yeah? All right. Just in case, the chorus, the phrase "oh mama" comes up as part of the chorus. I feel like, okay. I'm just gonna do it. A former club girl orders pizza at the Papa John's close to campus, and the young person behind the counter smiles like we grew up in the same church, like I'm not old enough to be their mama, or because maybe I am, and I'm smiling at them like I see something familiar in the wave of inky curls pulled back under their hairnet, in that dimple winking out from their cheek like an X marks the spot, that place their mama maybe kissed the most. Pink Pony Club lights into the room, and when the first chorus hits, the four of us waiting on pizzas give up singing quietly under our breath, and in full voice chorus with the gang in the kitchen. God, what have you done? You're a pink pony girl, and you dance at the club. And as Oh Mama aches into the room, I'm dancing and trying not to cry at this total bop because the Tennessee in this song is Florida. And while I've never dreamed of Santa Monica, I can believe that it is every place that's ever been good to me. And suddenly, I can't not think of my daughter who turned 17 this month. Z is everything, so goddamn alive all the time. She bounces into rooms because someone bought her a Pepsi, called her a whore, slid into her DMs, complimented her fit, gave her half an edible. Everything is moving so fast. And I know that the girl in this song isn't me, not anymore. That somehow, while I was running from what I needed to run from, I became Mama. And so I keep singing and feel a little bit drunk as I watch the kid spin now to grab my pies out the oven. And I love this song, this fragile minute where everything I am seems to collide with all the wants my daughter is dreaming. Why shouldn't she dream? Why shouldn't she throw on some heels and dance for as long as she can and let her mama be the only thing holding her back? Thank you.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much. We'll be playing that song later. To close us out tonight, we have Bess Cooley. Bess is a poet whose work seamlessly weaves vivid imagery, playful experimentation, and a deep sensitivity to sound. Drawing from her background in classical music, her poetry resonates with musicality, enhancing her exploration of the intersection of language, spirituality, and form, creating poems that are both deeply personal and universally resonant. A winner of the Mississippi River Poetry Prize, her work has appeared in Prairie Schooner, Western Humanities Review, The Journal, and Verse Daily. Cooley is a co-founding editor of Pete Smoke Journal and teaches at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. Please welcome Bess Cooley.
How's that? Yay! I've always been almost the tallest person in pretty much every room, so I'm used to the mic tilt. Thank you so much to everybody who organized this event and is here with poetry tonight and read for us. Everyone, I concur with you that everyone was like, it's just wonderful to be here. That's all. This is my book. It's called Florence. The title poem sort of explains why it is called that, but it is largely about helping care for my grandfather and being one of his primary caregivers for a while he had dementia. So there's lots of dementia kind of poems in here, and there are some erasure poems where I've taken one of my poems and done an erasure for that. So I might read some of those as well. So I'll start with the first poem, which is that title poem, Florence. May Day, and I've come home, a stranger to my grandfather. The school children are twisting tulips from tissue paper and pipe cleaner, pretending they smell like tulips. My grandfather tells me of the bunch of goldenrod he's named Florence because he sees a face in it. Some things, he tells me, I make up for a little joy, but there is no denying what is there. Still, when he leaves home, he kisses the goldenrod goodbye. He tells me he misses her. The children don't leave baskets of tulips on our stoop like they used to. My stranger grandfather asks me where I grew up. Here, in this house, though the kitchen's been ripped out and replaced since I've been away, though the room my sister and I shared was repainted and filled with my grandfather's furniture, placed in the same arrangement as in his house. In his new bedroom, a whole desk to hold one dictionary, a roll top kept over framed, pressed flowers, his books glassed in. He keeps to one side of the bed, like he's waiting for his wife to end her long day. Though she's gone, he no longer knows her name. Now only one imprint in the bed when he rises. This one is 8 years old, and my grandfather says my name angry. Instead, I'd remember the Thanksgiving we spent the day playing Heidi. You, our grandfather, playing the grandfather, carrying my sister on your back up our mountain of basement stairs. You let me scout ahead and break ground, the trailblazer. Now I want to time travel back to then, the day you knew my name so well, even to hear you say it angry. You could trace the constellations with your hand overhead and tell what they were called, show me the bright planets. Now I look up, searching for Jupiter and the North Star, look down at every rock, waiting for you to tell me how sediment breaks down, how to place our hands on bark to feel the trees age. I'd really listen this time to what you'd called each layer of soil, to Canis minor, Chinese gooseberry, the little climbing plant. My grandfather was sort of famous in my family for knowing like everything about, he was a geology major when he was in college on the GI Bill. And so he knew like about rocks and trees and constellations. And he was also in the Navy during World War II, which makes an appearance in this poem. Dear love poem, dear memory. I've been writing love poems to my grandfather, who has started to call me the poet, the stranger poet. He remembers the words to the old love songs, sings them from his chair to his stranger daughters. The songs of husbands away at sea, though he doesn't remember that once he was the husband, away on a minesweeper, scanning the bottom of the Pacific for leftover bombs, diving into the water, praying they wouldn't blow. I'm writing love poems to the lemmings who hurl themselves into the ocean, not suicide or because everybody's doing it, but because they've eaten the land bare. For my grandfather, I write the family names over and over as they dive into the shallow sea. Leslie, Deborah, your daughter, your daughter. The names bob up from the surface. Anyone can see them for a moment, then watch them drown. Thanks. This is an erasure of that poem. So sometimes if I have like a screen, I like to show these on the screen, but you can see it a little bit better in the book. So the erasure is kind of taken from the poem itself, and it still shows the structure or the shape of the poem kind of through that white space as well. Dear love poem, dear memory. My stranger, scanning for leftovers, but bare. over and over for a moment. I always like to tell people that the erasures in this book, which ended up becoming a really big part of the book, were kind of initially just like a writer's block exercise because I was trying to figure out the book. And so I took these poems and tried to figure out, is there another way that I can access them? So if you ever feel like you're in that place, you can try erasing your own poems. I came to understand over the very long period of time, this book took me about 10 years to write, and most importantly to put together, to kind of order into a collection. And I figured out that a lot of what this book is about is community in some ways, and kind of unseen communities, and how the variety of people in our lives form identities in particular ways, and then those identities, once those people kind of leave us, in this case, there's what the scholar Pauline Boss calls ambiguous loss, which is like when somebody is there but not there, or there's no kind of closure with them being gone. And so kind of how that helps form an identity as well. So one of the kind of sections of the book, or theme of poems that sort of helped me understand that connection between the different threads here, is about blood transfusions. So we have more, there's no vampires literally in this poem, but there's a bit of a connection there. I've had this rhythm in my head for decades. My mother at the sink trimming beets, my mother at the sink peeling onions. The day she learned to pull the seed from an avocado by wedging her knife in and twisting the knobbed pit from the fruit, even her chopping blade quickened its pace. Liberation. When I was in the hospital, her rhythm slowed back again for me, matched the drip of strangers' blood into my IV. I asked, how long until my blood's mine again? 4 months working the blueprint of strange cells. 4 months with a borrowed pulse. But even my chopping is my mother's chopping. My walk, my mother whispering into my ear like a prayer, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe. This one is called Hemoglobin. And one maybe helpful thing to know about this is with blood cell counts. A normal count is like 12 to 16 count. They start giving you blood transfusions when your count is at 9. So those numbers appear in the poem. Hemoglobin. For 4 months, I lived with 3 different strangers' blood in me. All one night, I watched 3 people drip into my arm. I didn't name them. Then I did. Owen, Gloria, Oliver. I got to know them so well we could communicate. We went through our days together. I sat at cubicle desks with them, monotonously typing. Their blood plowed through me. Now I forget all 3, but the signs are coming back. Motion sickness on the bus, dizziness climbing out of the pool. I check them off like a doctor's list. Think, my hemoglobin's probably at 9, now 8. I take iron pills, but think every time about letting my count go back down, letting myself come in and out of the world. Sometimes I want to remember the people whose blood I shared, but my body didn't know it was borrowing from them who went to the blood clinic, sat in medical chairs, ate cookies, drank orange juice after giving it away. My cells didn't think of ownership. Poor, forgotten Gloria, Oliver. My body drank and drank. I'll do a couple more. I actually wanted to read this one tonight because it's Poetry Month, and the tone of this poem is slightly different than some of the others that I've read, but I think it's kind of a fun example of what poetry is best at doing, which I think is kind of taking our imaginations literally. So, The Other Side. Earlier today, the dogs sprinted around the yard, chasing squirrels and birds. They went too far. I couldn't see them. I cut through brambles to look for them. I walked to the other side of the forest. I was barefoot, my feet calloused into leather button-up boots. I broke out in another century or world. I couldn't tell. I was only looking for those dogs. On the other side were purple mountains, a yellowing ocean. I had thought I was in the Midwest, yet this was no ocean of corn. I swam it. In the Philippines, I rested for a while, then went on to China. Around India, I swam for those dogs. Suddenly, I remembered they both hated water. They would run from waves that came too close to their paws. So I swam back and was out of breath. I sat on the hardwood floors of my house. My dogs were there. I cried. I thought it was relief. Who knows what it was? The dogs licked my face. Who knows what it was? I'm gonna do what one of my professors always makes a little like healthy fun of, and the poet thing is two more. The poets always just say two more. The last two poems that I'm going to read are kind of eventually get connected into an erasure poem that sort of blends them together, which I think is ultimately kind of what the book tries to do with the narrative of my grandfather, kind of trying to, if not understand or accept it, then kind of make it some sort of narrative arc by the end. Elegy. In England for the week, I learn my kindergarten best friend died. He came to my all-girls but him 5th birthday party and sulked. Maybe I told him there'd be more boys, or he didn't like the folk singer who came to sing. At school, we played what kindergarten children play: ball, tag, house, the play kitchen, kid-sized frying pans and hamburgers, hot dogs that snapped into their buns. We pretended to have a life together, gnome-gnoming on plastic at a shared table. Children don't think that it's hard. People are saying he took pills or overdosed. No one knows if he did it on purpose. I'm not sure how that poison goes. Slow sink into the blur, or hurling days into a toilet, eyelid capillaries breaking. The day I hear his name for the first time in years is the day of his funeral. I should be sitting in the hard pew, struggling with Catholic hymns I don't know, shaking his mother's hand, his father's. But I'm here at the Tower of London, crawling the stone cells with the ghosts of Edward IV's boys. I'm circling the courtyard where Anne Boleyn put her head carefully on the block. Family Farm, Maine. The farm where my grandfather's father was raised, where my grandfather may have spent a childhood summer or two, no longer stands. It has crumbled, and in the picture my mother sends, stone gate with a carved sun setting over the farm. Or maybe it rises. Below it, the 10 Commandments printed on stone and worn. I can make out thou shalt not make graven image. The picture's sky is cloudy. Mountains rise. Those must still exist, even if not the white house, the wood barn. No graven image could remind my grandfather of this home of Maine. His plaques and tangles like ivy crawl, covering bricks, digging in, cracking mortar. My mother says I disappeared along with him. My childhood and life no longer exist. And then this last super short one is the two of those poems that I just read combined. Elegy / Family Farm, Maine. He crumbled, or maybe snapped. We pretended the picture together, shared no one, no home, days breaking. His tangles like ivy crawl. I disappeared. I'm circling. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for being with us tonight. Thanks to all of our online folks for being with us as well. We really appreciate you hanging in and watching from home. For everyone who is here with us, you have the opportunity to buy our poets' books up front. It really does help us and help them when you purchase your books from an independent bookstore. And you'll have an opportunity to get them signed. So take a moment, mix and mingle. Abeo is up front with the books, and